Hi, and welcome to Biopilates Deep Dive. Today, I would like to explore one of the most underestimated exercises in the reformer repertoire, stomach massage straight back. Behind this somewhat surprising name lies one of the richest exercises in the entire Stott Pilates method. It mobilizes the spine, hips, and ankles, stimulates the core, improves posture, and develops a deep understanding of body organization. Within the reformer progression, stomach massage is introduced after several exercises have already prepared the body to stabilize the pelvis, organize the rib cage, and control lower limb movement. It represents an important step in learning dynamic mobility while maintaining optimal alignment. The straight back version is usually taught after the round back variation. In the rounded version, the emphasis is placed on spinal flexion and deep abdominal engagement. In the straight back variation, the challenge becomes entirely different. We seek to maintain a long, upright spine while preserving pelvic stability and fluidity of movement. The starting position appears simple. The practitioner sits at the front edge of the carriage with the feet placed on the foot bar and the heels slightly lifted. The hands support the body while the spine lengthens toward the ceiling. The gaze remains forward and the rib cage stays stacked above the pelvis. This apparent simplicity conceals a remarkably complex postural organization. The pelvis must remain stable despite the movement of the legs. The seat bones remain anchored on the carriage. The hips flex and extend while the spine maintains its length. The rib cage remains organized above the pelvis and should neither collapse nor excessively thrust forward. This exercise perfectly illustrates the fundamental principles of the Stott Pilates movement system. Breathing, pelvic placement, rib cage organization, scapular stability, and head and cervical alignment must all function simultaneously to allow harmonious execution. As the legs press the carriage away, the quadriceps contribute to knee extension. The vastus medialis, vastus lateralis, vastus intermedius, and rectus femoris work together to produce this movement. At the same time, the gluteal muscles help stabilize the pelvis and control the hip joints. Yet the true work often takes place elsewhere. Stomach massage, straight back quickly reveals limitations in ankle mobility. A restriction in dorsiflexion may create compensations at the knees, hips, or even the lumbar spine. This is one reason why this exercise serves as an excellent functional assessment tool. The lower leg muscles play a critical role here. The tibialis anterior contributes to ankle control and helps maintain foot organization. The intrinsic foot muscles help preserve the famous tripod of support formed by the heel, the head of the first metatarsal, and the head of the fifth metatarsal. This concept of foot stability is directly related to the principles of lower body mobility and stability. Breathing also occupies a central role in this exercise. Three-dimensional inhalation allows the rib cage to expand laterally, posteriorly, and anteriorly. Exhalation facilitates activation of the pelvic floor, transversus abdominis, and deep obliques. This management of intra-abdominal pressure helps create optimal trunk stability. Breathing becomes a true motor control tool rather than simply a means of oxygen exchange. From a neurological perspective, every repetition involves a constant dialogue between the central nervous system and the musculoskeletal system. Mechanoreceptors located in the joints, muscles, tendons, and fascia continuously transmit information to the spinal cord and brain. These signals allow the nervous system to instantly adjust the muscular force required to maintain balance. With every carriage movement, the brain analyzes foot position, knee orientation, pelvic stability, and spinal length. This enormous quantity of information is processed within milliseconds to ensure fluid and precise movement. This movement intelligence is precisely what differentiates Pilates from simple strength training. To better understand postural maintenance during this exercise, it is worth examining two essential muscles of the erector spinae group, the iliocostalis and the longissimus. The iliocostalis is the most lateral component of the erector spinae. It originates primarily from the common tendon of the erector spinae, attached to the posterior iliac crest, sacrum, and lumbar spinous processes. Its insertions are found on the posterior angles of the ribs and the cervical transverse processes, depending on the region. Its primary action is spinal extension when contracting bilaterally. When contracting unilaterally, it contributes to ipsilateral lateral flexion of the trunk. Its innervation is provided by the dorsal rami of the spinal nerves. The longissimus, located between the iliocostalis and spinalis, is the largest muscle of the erector spinae group. It originates from the common tendon, sacrum, iliac crest, and lumbar vertebrae. Its insertions extend to the ribs, thoracic and cervical transverse processes, and the mastoid process of the skull through its capitis portion. Bilaterally, it extends the spine and head. Unilaterally, it contributes to ipsilateral lateral flexion and slight spinal rotation. Like the iliocostalis, it is innervated by the dorsal rami of the spinal nerves. In stomach massage straight back, these muscles work primarily isometrically to maintain spinal length against the natural tendency to collapse forward. They function as posterior guy wires, supporting the spine while the legs push and return the carriage. The biomechanics of thoracic extension also deserves special attention. The thoracic spine naturally presents a physiological kyphosis. During extension, the thoracic facet joints glide downward and backward, allowing the anterior portion of the thorax to open progressively. This extension is accompanied by a subtle elevation of the sternum, improved rib mobility, and enhanced respiratory expansion. The goal is never to create excessive lumbar extension. Instead, we seek a harmonious distribution of movement throughout the entire spine. When thoracic extension is well distributed, the rib cage remains stacked above the pelvis, the shoulders stay relaxed, and breathing becomes freer. In stomach massage, straight back, this subtle extension contributes to the sensation of the spine lengthening toward the ceiling rather than merely holding a rigid upright posture. The shoulders also play a fundamental role. The scapular stabilizers, particularly the serratus anterior, lower trapezius, and portions of the middle trapezius, must provide a stable base from which the spine can lengthen freely. The principles of scapular stability become especially meaningful in this exercise. Among the most common errors are collapsing through the chest, losing pelvic neutrality, excessive shoulder tension, or pushing the carriage solely with the legs without engaging the center. When these compensations occur, the exercise loses much of its value. The objective is not simply to move the carriage away and then bring it back. The objective is to maintain coherent body organization throughout the entire movement. Stomach massage straight back teaches us that mobility cannot exist without stability, and that stability becomes useless if it prevents movement. This relationship between stability and mobility forms one of the foundations of modern biomechanics. Joints require a certain degree of stiffness to transmit force efficiently, but they must also retain enough freedom to adapt to movement demands. Stomach massage, straight back, illustrates this balance beautifully. As practitioners progress, they often discover that the exercise becomes a form of moving meditation. Breathing guides the action. The center organizes stability. The legs generate movement. The spine remains long. The nervous system continuously refines coordination. It is within this search for fluidity that the true sophistication of Pilates resides. Beyond muscular strengthening, this exercise enhances body awareness, movement quality, and functional efficiency in everyday activities. It also reminds us that an advanced exercise is not necessarily spectacular. Sometimes the most subtle exercises create the deepest transformations. Stomach massage. Straight back belongs to that category of exercises that appear simple when observed, but reveal extraordinary complexity when practiced with precision. It simultaneously develops ankle, hip, and spinal mobility, pelvic stability, breathing coordination, neuromuscular control, and postural awareness. This is likely why it remains one of the most respected exercises in the reformer repertoire. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of stomach massage straight back. I look forward to seeing you again very soon for another episode of Biopilates Deep Dive. See you soon.